actual LANs and why you want them. Why would you want to separate your network into more than one network, to break it into two LANs? Or 3 or 5 or 10?
Probably like if you have different departments that have different security concerns.
Yep, different security concerns. Sweet. Actually, wow. Definitely departments. Usually networks are broken apart by some kind of department line. Accountants might be one. HR might be another. There's definitely security. Another one is actually going to be speed. If you are able to put all the people who are going to communicate behind one switch, you're able to kind of localize that so that, let's give an example, you work on the marketing department.
Like there was a good example in the book about how the researchers already take up more bandwidth.
I actually was going to use that one in like 10 seconds. But yeah, we'll use that one first. Yeah, if you have a research department and you've got 5 people and one server and they all just communicate with that server all the time, it makes a lot of sense to stick it all behind one switch, and that does not see the light of day anywhere else. And you're able to just kind of keep that all that traffic behind itself. If you're working in a marketing department, you might actually, I'll give you one. Keep preempting. If you work in marketing, most of the marketers, marketing reps, what do you call them, are going to communicate with themselves inside the network. So it makes sense to keep all that behind the switch as well. The problem with LANs is that they're not very scalable. If you have so you have 2 buildings. And it's the same company, but you have 2 different LANs. Square switch with all these workstations, and then you have the round over here. Let's say one's accounting and one's HR. Well, that's awesome because they're all localized, and you have your own network and you have your own servers. But let's say that this is you want to move buildings for some reason. You don't like who you work with, or you got kicked out or something. So you want to move over here. And all these are connected directly to the switch. To be on this switch, or to be on this local area network, you have to actually run a cable all the way to it to stay on the same lane. Well, try to tell the road commission that you want to dig up the road so that you can run a wire to your other building. It's not going to happen. Is there any way that you could do this so that they can be connected to any switch but still be considered on the same network? Could you connect this to this and still call it on this network? How would you do that?
VirtualLAN.
Actually, what would you call it?
What was that?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Who are you calling on?
You.
Okay.
Yeah. Either one. Just the same.
VPN? Huh? VPN?
Well, actually, yes, but that's kind of outside the scope of this. What was yours again?
VirtualLAN.
Exactly. It's right at the title. What is it? Are you 2 or 7? I'm sorry.
7.
So we're almost time here. So there's actually a way to do this. So you want to actually be able to do it so that you can connect to any switch and still call it the same local area network. This is extremely, as in that example, you can move people around apartments, different floors, without someone physically rewiring it. In the old days, there would be a system administrator who would actually have to climb up into the drop ceiling to run a wire so that you could move to another desk. Another way you could do this that would be beneficial is, let's say that you want to expand your company, you want to grow your department. Well, you don't have any real offices. To have that same LAN, you'd have to run a wire to another building, but if you have a virtual LAN, you're able to rent space across the city or across the state or across the country. The way they work is they give each port on the switch a color. So let's say this is you. All these gray ones are considered one virtual LAN, and then all the white ones are considered another. So if you want to communicate with this one, you're gray, you want to communicate to this one. First, you're going to send it to your switch or your bridge, whichever you want to call it. And the bridge is going to look around and see that none of these computers are what you want to go to. Well, but it does know it's coming from a gray port, and it does know that on the other side of this one is another gray one. So all it doesn't care, it doesn't know where it is, it doesn't care. So it's going to take that packet, attach some headers to it, and ship it over to this switch. This switch is going to see that it's gray, and it's going to look at all the gray ones, excluding the one it came from. And it's going to see that this is the gray one, and it's going to send that information to there. If it does not know, what would happen if you had to broadcast this, if you didn't know where the computer was? If it was a new computer, just plugged it in, there was no mapping yet, what did you call that in the bridge? Learning? It hadn't learned
Backward
where it,
learning.
Yeah, backwards learning. It hadn't learned where it was, how would it broadcast that traffic? Let's both of you at the same time go.
Basically.
Huh?
They only see where it came from. Know that if it came from a gray computer, know it's going to another gray computer. If it comes from a white computer, know it has to go to another white computer.
So it would broadcast which ones?
It only broadcasts the ones that it came from.
So great.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. So that's a huge security benefit because it knows that it's not going to be a white one, so it's not going to go to the white ones. It's only going to broadcast the gray ones. Not only is that security benefit, that's a huge speed benefit. I mean, it knows not to look at those. It's not going to clog those up. IEE, or the International Electrical and Electronics Engineers, is that right? Who knows? Who knows what IEE stands for? You are correct, sir.
Okay, yeah.
They were smart enough to know that people were not going to want to replace all their network cards to get this to work, because you do have to modify the headers for it to know if it's gray or white. So what they did is they only did it with the ports. So if you buy a switch and it doesn't, this computer does not know what color it doesn't know. All this is the only thing it knows. It's going to know this port is gray, this port is white, this one's going to know this one's white, this one's gray. So you don't have to actually replace any of the network cards. All you have to do is replace the switches. So it actually saved a great deal of money because the IEEE knew that there was no way they were going to get companies to buy hundreds of millions of network cards just because they wanted to change the standard. And then this is the modification to the headers. It's pretty simple. This is just saying that it is a VLAN so that when the switch gets it, it knows to look. And then this is actually what the VLAN is, like the color. It doesn't have to be a color, it can be a number, but they usually just use colors because everything is considered white wire, white wire, blue wire. And then this is all apparently nothing to do with VLAN. Actually, the author goes into like a page rant about how much he hates that it's here. So sorry.
Hey, we're changing this, so why don't we change this too?
Yeah, I forget what the one has something to do with priority, and the other one
It's corporate equal modifier. I think he said that was supposed to be.
yeah, something to it was a 1-bit thing. It knew like whether it was or wasn't. And that's it. I kind of include my questions in my presentation, so any questions? Sorry.
The IEEE question, do they get a point for that?
What does it stand for?
It's the Institute of It's the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. I'm almost positive. I couldn't remember what the I was. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Someone Google it.
Institute International.
Oh, Lord.
It's called institution. It's close enough. Oh, there's one. Okay, who can? What other questions can we ask?
That's it.
Make this
Oh,
interesting.
God.
So it's the end of the presentation.
I don't. What?
Raise the hand.
Well, you're 7 and you're 2, right? 7. Well, unless you can ask a really smart question, like a really, really good question.
Well, ours is smarter than we.
I just don't think it should be an argument.
Yeah, I mean, technically that's like a more specific.
Yeah, that's a little different. Like VPNs are something so like if you're at home you can connect to the network. It's like off the network to the network. We're talking about like all in a network, the same network.
It's a virtual private, like, yeah, it's a.
Yeah, it's Close no cigar.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Okay, this was the end of the
Point if you-
presentation?
No, we
Give
don't.
a question, give a point.
No, yes, we're at the end of the presentation. We need questions now from each group.
Wait, you're
Right.
supposed to show your program.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Almost forgot about
We
that.
didn't make one of those.